everyone, this is Mystik Writer here again. I wanted to introduce to you today the concept in the natural hair community of a hair bio, and I did include my own in my last video. It's at the end of the video. So I thought this would be pretty helpful for everyone, especially when you're doing a specific inquiry on YouTube. Say if you have a particular hair type and you want to try a particular product on your hair and you want to see if someone with your hair type or your hair struggles are using the same product. That's just an example. So I've come up with a list, and I did do a video on this before. I did not post it yet because I actually left a couple of items out on the list that I thought would be pertinent. So I'm redoing the video. And here is the list. So you would include your current hair status and your prior hair damage type, your prior hair alterations, your infant texture and color. Yes, I did say it, and I'll explain later why. Your toddler hair texture and color, your sun color, which is a phrase I've coined myself, so yeah. Your hair texture, obviously, the density, the porosity, your hair type, and your curl pattern. And lastly, the shortest and the longest hair lengths that you've achieved or resorted to. Okay, so now let me explain the items on the list. Okay, so the first item on the list is your current hair status. So that would be whether you're like 100% natural, chemically straightened, if you're chemically curled. In some communities, they refer to the chemically curled as a perm, and other communities, they refer to the chemically curled as a curl. You have to have been born like in my age group to know what the heck I'm talking about. Anyway, okay, so also on the list of current hair status, it could be that your hair is dyed. It's either naturally dyed or natural and relaxed, or you're using a hair product that is over the counter, like a boxed or a bottled hair dye. So a lot of us in the natural hair community, we have dyed our natural hair, and a lot of us are now resorting to just being 100% natural. So if you're still dyed, then you would say that you're natural and dyed. Okay. Whether you're natural and permed or chemically curled, etc. That would be in that category. Second thing would be your prior hair damage. All of these things are important to the folks who are actually looking at your video. It may not be important to you while you're doing your video, but for people who are watching, they have their own hair issues, and for them, they want to know if the person they're watching on that video is also having the same hair struggles or had the same hair struggles. We'd like to know what what the status of your hair is, what the state is of it, and hence the reason for the hair bio. Okay, next item is prior hair damage, which would be chemically straightened, a chemical dye, emotional stress. Many of us can relate to that, and sometimes that could be genetic. If you are stressed out for a long period of time, your hair can fall out. That has happened. So also scalp tension, and the scalp tension could be resulting from tight braids, any other tight hairstyle. Maybe you wear your hair back in one every day, or you pull it up and put it in a tight rubber band or something every day. So you might have scalp tension damage, etc. Heat, you might have heat damage, and of course that would result from a flat iron, blow dryer, electric brush or hot comb, and the like. This is a condition that I know about because I have a family member, a very close family member, who suffers from this. It's called trichotillomania. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Very long word. You'll see it at the end of the video. This is compulsive hair pulling, and people of all races can suffer from this. And it's a stress releaser for some people, just like nail biting. Thank goodness I don't have that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have these long nails. Some people bite their nails. Some people, do this with their teeth or whatever. Other people, they pull their hair. And any other prior hair damage. The next thing on the list would be prior hair alterations. And hair alterations would be anything that you do to alter your natural hair state, which would be in the same, along the same lines, like a relaxer, whether you had you'd state whether you had a mild relaxer or a regular relaxer, super plus, whatever, if you had that. Permanent dye, semi-permanent dye, spray dye, organic dye, locks, if you locked your hair and maybe you wore that for years and then you decided to change up. And then the next item would be your infant hair texture. So a lot of us, we pull out our old baby pictures and show to, our friends and other family members who may not have seen us as a baby. Everybody likes to see what you looked like when you were a baby, especially if, you had something crazy going on, like maybe, not crazy, that's the wrong word, but maybe you had blonde hair as a baby, and now your hair is black or brown, or what have you. So no one would know that unless they saw your baby picture, and we're not going to see your baby picture, so just put it in the bio. Alright, your infant hair texture. So maybe you were bald. I mean, there are babies who are born bald. It could have had fine, coarse, curly, wavy, whatever. Put that in the bio. And a lot of us inquire. It's just a thing, it's just a thing. People like to know, Don't say you don't want to know, because a lot of people want to know that. And then also your toddler hair texture. So down the line, I'm going to have all this on the list that you'll see at the end of the video. Your sun color, again, that's not something I don't think you're going to find that term online, because I actually coined it while I was doing the first hair bio video. So your sun color, what is that? Okay, so your sun color is the color that your hair turns with exposure to the sun. So, and sometimes we refer to it as highlights. So I get highlights when I go into the sun, but I usually am not in the sun that long these days. Don't really have much time to be out and about doing that. But when I was a kid, I used to be in the sun all of the time. I used to get tanned, really tanned, and so my skin was getting darker, but my hair was getting lighter. So in the summertime, I would have these natural highlights, and then my overall hair color was getting lighter. So, but then in the wintertime, it kind of reverts a little bit, gets a little darker. One reason why this would be important to some people would be if your hair gets pretty light in the summertime, or you get those streaks of, those highlights, and then in the wintertime it gets dark. Maybe someone who doesn't know you very well might just think you dyed your hair during the summer. And if you try to tell them, no, I did not dye my hair, they might think you're lying. So, but usually when you're in the sun, your hair from the roots to tips do not get completely lightened. It's kind of like a mixture, like you went to the hair salon and you got highlights, kind of like that. Now, if you see someone and their entire head is a whole different hair color, and then later on it's darker, then 9 times out of 10 they dyed their hair. But knowing if your hair gets natural highlights, that's an interesting fact to know, and could also be helpful to the natural hair community. We like to know everything, you know, we're nosy about your hair. The other thing is the texture, so put that on the list. That's obvious. If you're fine, I have fine hair, so having fine hair, you know you have fine hair if you had to use a mild relaxer, when you were relaxed, if you were ever relaxed, because a super relaxer would make you bald. Also, your hair gets tangled very easily, so that's something that all of us fine hair textured gals go through pretty much, that hair gets tangled pretty easily. Yeah, because the strands are too thin. And if you use a detangling shampoo on a regular basis, that lets you know that you have fine hair. And I know for me, having fine hair, the wind just, it's so lightweight that the wind just whips it, like blows it all over the place. So if I have a hairstyle that I wanted to keep for the day, and I go out and I'm out walking around or something, the wind will just destroy the style. I mean, unless I were to put like hairspray in it, or even setting lotion. I put setting lotion in it to do it when I do a roller set. The style will stay, but the wind would whip it around, so I would immediately have to comb it down again, or brush it or whatever. So if you do that a lot, you know, you most likely have fine textured hair. Medium is the next hair texture, and if you have medium hair texture, you pretty much can use any hair product, and with ease. You don't really have too many problems for the most part. Everybody's different. And then coarse. So if you have coarse hair, your hair strands are thick and strong, and has some weight to it. And mine is it's a lightweight. So like with my hair, I can flat iron it or whatever, or when I had it relaxed, I would have it relaxed and straight, and it was nice and long. But if I roller set it, boom, it just like shrinks up, and it looks like I had a haircut. So it's because it's so lightweight. But if you have coarse hair, you actually have some weight to your hair, so it's easier for you to keep your styles in. Okay, I know some of you beg to differ, but you get the idea. The next thing on the list is the density. So a lot of people have been discussing the density of the hair, and yeah, that's a thing. So that regards the number of strands that you have per square inch in your hair. And if people say, oh, you have a head full of hair, most likely you have high density hair. If you have low density hair, the way to tell that is by looking in the mirror, shine a light on the top of your head or what have you, and if you can see your scalp easily, you have low density hair. And if you're somewhere in the middle, then it's medium. But if you part your hair, anybody's going to see your scalp. But if you just leave your hair, you just brush it out, or, you know, leave it the way it is, and it, you know, you wake up in the roll over and wake up in the morning, you look in the mirror and you can't see your scalp, then most likely you have high density hair, or you could also have medium, depends. Okay, and now everybody's talking about hair porosity, so that's another thing you want to put on the list. I saw one lady's video. I'm sorry, I don't have her name, but I actually saved her video so I can refer to it later. She said that people would just keep asking her all of these questions. This was, I think, earlier today. I probably saw this. And or last night, one of the two. And she said a lot of people would comment and ask her so many questions, you know, about her hair, that she just didn't have time to answer them. So I was thinking, if you had a hair bio on your video or below your video, they wouldn't have to ask all of those questions, because the answer would be right there. So, porosity. Okay, I actually didn't really care about porosity myself, and I had been hearing a lot about it. Oh, what's your hair porosity? Is it, you know, is it low? Is it high? Whatever. And I'm thinking, do I really need to know that? So I guess it's important. So I'm seeing, you know, that it can be important depending on, if you buy a lot of products for your hair, you want to know what to purchase, you know, what to use on your hair. So knowing your hair porosity would be good. So if you have low hair porosity, it means that your hair doesn't quickly absorb water or moisturizers, and it takes a long time to dry. It also stays at the top of the glass. If you do there's this hair strand test, which I know you probably heard of already. You take a glass of water, you get a strand of your hair, or 2 or 3 or whatever, and you put it on top of the water. Really, I think you should push it down in the water to give it a chance to, you know, see if it's going to soak up the water or not. Because there's a debate as to, if you just drop it on top of the water, everybody's hair is just going to stay on top of the water, which makes sense. So if your hair stays more on the top level, like say just underneath the water, then you have low porosity hair. Let's see. Also with that, let me think. Yeah. Okay. And if you have normal porosity hair, then it easily gets enough moisture, and you know, from moisturizers and water. And if you jump in the shower and you're ready to get your hair drenched, it will get drenched in a reasonable amount of time. It won't take too long, but it won't happen right away. So it's kind of like somewhere in the middle. And if you do the hair strand test in the glass of water, it will sink to the middle of the glass. So that's normal porosity hair. If you have high porosity hair, which is what I believe I have, your hair gets drenched very quickly. I could jump in the shower and it gets wet in no time. Just put the shower head, let it, and done. One and done. It dries quickly. So if you have high porosity hair, it dries quickly. So for me, I washed my hair, it was a night or 2 ago, and I didn't have enough time to do what I wanted to do with my hair, which, if you watched my last video, I stated that I would have some setting lotion, and I would put the setting lotion on there and flat iron my hair with it, which would be the first time I've done that, because I've only used the setting lotion when I do a roller set with the hard rollers. But anyway, so I parted my hair in 4s after I washed it, and basically just twisted it around and put it in the knots, and I let it dry, and it dried overnight, so no problem. And the other thing with high porosity hair is the hair will sink to the bottom of the glass. So I did try 2 strands of my hair the other day, and I did push it in, because like I said, if you just drop it on top of the water, everybody's hair will just float on top of the water. So I pushed it in a little bit, and it sank to the bottom. Both of them actually sank to the bottom, and I did it at different times. Left it in there for probably a good 10 minutes, and it never came back up. So I guess I have high porosity hair. The next thing on the list would be your hair type, and that would be straight, wavy, curly, kinky-curly, or you might have a mixed bag. So I think these days a lot of us, have a mixed, set of hair types on our head. Like for me, the front has a looser curl than the back, which I've noticed, and then the sides have more of a wavy, but you never see this area because it's always hidden. So I noticed the different textures in my hair, and I'm sure you have the same thing. So in your hair bio, you would actually list that you have a mix of different hair types, and you can put specifically what it is, or you can just say you have a mixed, set of hair types on your hair. And then the next thing is your curl pattern. I think we're pretty familiar with that. Whether you're one, well, that would be straight. 2, 2A, 3, 2A, 2C, 2B, whatever, on down to 4C. So I think we're pretty familiar with that, and if you're not familiar with it, just type into YouTube curl patterns, and you'll see lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of videos on that and diagrams. Now, one thing that people might be interested to know is how long you've ever grown your hair and how short you've ever had it. It could be short due to damage, or maybe you just went to get a short haircut. And we also would like to know how long you've ever grown your hair. So maybe you've grown your hair a good 20-30 inches, and we all want to know that because that's all over the internet. We all like the hair length checks and everything, which is what I'm going to be doing soon. I actually just cut my hair like last week, cut it about an inch. Okay, but with providing your hair length, the longest and the shortest, it's best that you refer to at least 1/4 of your hair. So if you had one hair strand that grew to like 30 inches and then the rest of it like 20 inches, don't put 30, please. We don't want to know about your one little strand. It has to be at least 1/4 of your hair, at least 25% of your hair. That goes for short and the shortest and the longest length. Okay, so if you could include all of those things in your hair bio, that would be great. And I'm sure there will be plenty of people who will be grateful to you for including that. How can you do that? What I did was I went to Microsoft Word, I typed mine out, and I did a snip. There's this thing called a snipping tool. I did a snip of it, and I made the snip into a JPEG, into an image, and then I just put that on my video. If you don't want to do that, you can use the movie maker option. Maybe you can use the title or the captions or what have you. Maybe you can do the captions at the end or what have you. The credits, I'm sorry. Do the credits at the end, and you can list it there. So that might be easiest for some people. And if that's too much to do, just list it below your video. If you have it on your channel at least once, if you have your hair bio somewhere on your channel, then we can access it. You don't have to go crazy with it. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. Again, Mystik Writer, introducing the hair bio, and please let me know what you think about it. Either way, I'm going to keep my hair bio, so if you like it, that's good. I'd like to know if people are, feeling that. If you don't like it, you can tell me why you don't like it, and I might be able to tweak, how it's presented. You do not have to include every single thing on the list, and some things you won't be able to include on the list. Some things the answer would be none. So you don't even have to include that. But include as many items on that list as possible because it will be helpful to the natural hair community. So anyway, signing out, and thanks again. I hope that you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.